Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here of Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour podcast.
Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 259. Thank you for joining us tonight. Brian, thank you for joining us back in the show.
Glad to be back. Thank you for holding it down, Chambers. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the well wishes, and glad to be back and drinking with you.
Definitely. You have been missed. But speaking of joining us, we have us a guest tonight. So before, we've had a lot of YouTubers, we've had podcasters, we've even had some people in the industry. But they were going hard on the retro side. Someone in the industry, but also somewhat on the fringe. He's in a unique spot, and he was one of the first to do it. And we are so glad to have him on this show tonight. He is Joe, and he is from Video Games Monthly. Joe, how you doing, man?
Good. Thanks for having me. How you guys doing?
Good, man. The last couple times we've met, we've had plenty of drinks in our hands, and we've met you at too many games.
Yep, some late nights.
Now, we truly appreciate you hopping on. This is long overdue. We always enjoy it. I mean, I think right from the get-go meeting you, we could tell you were a good guy, and obviously we've talked about Video Games Monthly before on this website,
Yep.
but instead of us regurgitating it, why don't we hand it over to you? Why don't you let everyone know what Video Games Monthly is all about?
Okay, perfect. So Video Games Monthly is a monthly subscription box that you can pick between 3 and 10 games based on your budget. You then fill out your gaming library so we know what games you have. You let us know what type of games you enjoy. And then we ship you games every month that are clean, tested, guaranteed to work, and they're yours to keep. There's no returning the games. It's not a rental service. So once those games are at your house, you're building your collection. And it's really as simple as that.
Well, there's one piece of it that I think you're underselling a little bit. And as someone who has used this service and also used other subscription services, you have a very good way of people being able to track the games they have. So they're not getting duplicates because I can say for other services, I've done it for horror things and whatever. It's such a easy concept to think of, but not a lot of places do that. So with you, at least, I know I'm not going to get another copy of a game I already have as long as you're using the tracker.
Yep. So we have an exclusive game tracker that you fill out all the games that you own. There's certain systems, if you go above 200, we ask you to send us a list because there's some systems that, barely have over that 200 game limit. But yes, we track all your games there. If by chance there's a duplicate ever sent or an error in any way, we're always quick to fix it. We stand by all of our boxes. With the exclusive game tracker, the other neat thing that you can do is you can pick and choose what style of games you want. So if you say, hey, I never want to receive, we don't ship out any geared sports games just because they're not, expensive. And with other people, some people enjoy games like NBA Jam and those fun style sports games. So we want to know if that's something that you don't enjoy at all, then we totally remove all the sports titles from your list. Which some people do, and then others enjoy those type of Mario Tennis games and things like that are a little off the wall sports. So.
Mm-hmm. Now let me ask you. I mean, we said we've seen too many games, and obviously, it's you guys are busy as hell. It's a lot to do to go out find new games. But how did you even come up with this? Like, what was the origin of this whole company?
So I worked in my past life in an ad agency, and I was doing some work, and we kind of had some downtime. We had some video games in the office when people took breaks, they could sit down and play. And we had a couple people sitting there like, oh, I wish we could just get more games. And I'm like, well, I don't feel like running up 30 minutes to the nearest store. And they're like, well, what if we could just get someone to send them, like every month to us? Then it kind of just evolved from there where I was like, so I started looking to see if there's anything out there like that. I mean, besides your local shops and the shops that you can, go online and buy individual games and Amazon and eBay, things like that, there was nothing that catered to you, was shipped to you every single month, was guaranteed to work, and made it feel like Christmas, every single month. You just got a package in the mail and got to open it. So we kind of just started rolling with it. And, the first month I'm like, oh, this is going to be cool. We're going to pack a few boxes, eat some pizza, and drink some beer in the garage. Then the second month it kind of started taking off. And from there, it kind of spiraled. And then throughout COVID, we had a tremendous amount of signups over COVID time just because you couldn't get out of your house. So, and from there, people enjoyed what they got, and it's a lot of it's word of mouth. But we're very blessed to be where we're at and be so busy. And I was joking earlier about being busy, but you shouldn't complain about being busy. Busy is a good thing.
Well, definitely. There's been a bunch of conventions we've gone to, and we're like, I would send you a text and be like, hey, you're going to be at this one. You're like, nah, man, we're busy seasons, shipping shit out. We're not going to make it this time.
Yeah, there's a certain period of the month, where we're all hands on deck. Every employee's in for 12-hour days, just packing, and then those next 3 weeks is cleaning, sourcing inventory, and all that. So it's a cycle that just continues and continues. But we do like to get out to the conventions just because we get to meet awesome people, members. We get to meet a lot of our distributors are at these shows, so we get to meet them there as well. So we do our best to get around, but like as you guys know, we're not at all of them.
Well, let me ask you. I mean, obviously, the conventions might be a decent spot for you, but we've talked about the past couple episodes with the rise in cost of retro games and stuff. Like, how are you still able to find good inventory out there? Like, you must be having people searching all the time.
It's a lot of good relationships that have been built. We actually just had our 10-year anniversary last month, and we're kind of celebrating that and doing a lot of cool things for our 10-year anniversary. But the way I look at it is, starting 10 years ago, we built all these awesome relationships with different vendors and different distributors, and it's been awesome. I mean, they've been really good to us, and all the rise in prices hasn't really affected us too much. It's been a very good thing. We still, everyone's like, how are you going to run out of games? I'm like, no, there's millions and millions and millions and millions of games. We always prepare ourselves. We're months out where if anything happened, we have to make sure that we take care of our members, and we always ship out early. So these people that expect, we say we ship by the 10th of the month, but we're always shipping 7 to 8 days early. We want to make sure that these members are getting the value out of our service.
Yeah. No, and as I said, we'll have the link to the video below. The variety in the games, and I do like the customization available. Like, I know I've hit you up if it's like, hey, I'm kind of really looking for this style of game. They're catered. They're not just a bunch of random games thrown in there. So I will say I can attest to that. Yep. Do you commonly get that though, or do you just seem to mostly get folks that are just like, it would be really cool to get a wide variety of games, or do you find people are very kind of nitpicky and specific?
So we have our, I would say our good 10% of members that are very picky, very specific, which is, I understand that a lot. Video games are a very odd thing, and people can pick certain genres and types of games they enjoy. So we do have our picky 10%, which is absolutely fine and acceptable. I would do that if I was signing up for a service. I'd want to pick out stuff. Then we have about that, 40 to 50% that gives us ideas of the type of games they enjoy. They'll say, hey, I love beat 'em ups, or my favorite game's Contra. Send me games that are like Contra, just things like that. And the rest of the company is, or the rest of the members are mainly like, I just want to be surprised and make sure I get a value out of the box. So it's kind of neat with those members, because you can give them, what we try to do is give them a wide variety and range of games. So they might get one puzzle, one racing, one beat 'em up, one, whatever it may be. And we give them a very good mixture of games from, we have offer over 25 systems now. So there's people that are getting Atari games. There's people that are getting PS4 games. I mean, it's all over the map. So I enjoy working with those type of members, just because it gives our packaging team such a wide variety to pick from.
Nice.
That's awesome. So Brian and I, we are both still wage slaves. We work for the man. How long did it take you, do you think, to actually realize, wait, I think I can actually do this as my job and become your own boss?
Well,
how long did that take, and how's that feeling?
Well, when I came out of school, I got my big boy job, and started working there for about 5 years. And then a couple of us at that particular job decided we would branch off and do our own thing. So I did my past life for about 5 years, and then about 5 years into it, which was in 2014, is when we just kind of came up with this goofy idea. And we all enjoy video games. I wish I could say I play more of them. It's just it's a time thing now with work and kids and all that stuff. It's hard to sit down and find those hours that I used to have to play. But it was just an idea. And then as soon as we were probably 2 or 3 months into the initial setup of Video Games Monthly, it was one of those moments where I'm like, I either got to go full in or, I'm going to be working over here doing what I was doing. So I enjoyed the Video Games Monthly startup. So I'm like, I'm going to give it a shot. And then, like I said, thankfully we were super blessed that um, the growth of the company was very successful. So, and we've been growing since. So it's awesome to get to hire new people and work with different people. But it's a stressful thing. I mean, all jobs are stressful, but I enjoy it, and I'm glad I chose to do it. But it was basically, it was one of those moments where you just said you got to jump. It's not putting your foot in the pool anymore. You're either jumping in or you're going to go work and do what you did before. So took the chance and it's worked out, and I'm happy where we're at. I hope we continue to grow as we have in the past.
Yeah, and you guys almost hit it like that perfect time too, because I remember when you guys were first starting up, that's when every big YouTuber under the sun was opening like a loot crate or something like that every
Yep.
month. And
Yep.
you like hit that market, but you also hit it with, a thing where no matter what the person gets, they're probably going to be somewhat happy with what they get. It's not
Yep.
like spread all across the board and
Yep.
like get a t-shirt or something they just couldn't care less about, or a Funko, God forbid. But
Yep.
it's just like, oh, it's a game. I mean, it's still a game for the collection. So cool.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of members that we have that literally just sign up to collect. They're just putting it on their shelves and building their collection. Don't even know if half of them play it. It's just they're sitting there and they say, I want to try to get the whole Nintendo set, or I want to try to get all the N64 games. And getting 3 to 10 a month, it's a quick and easy way that they don't have to go out to garage sales or out. Some people don't even have local shops around them, and people are driving an hour for their closest video game. So it's something that we can absolutely help with.
Yeah, and I was going to ask, so you had mentioned, back in the day, you guys came up with the concept. Were you an avid collector or even a collector for gaming
Yeah,
prior to this?
so I used to play game, throughout college and all that. That's when the whole, like, for us it was the PS2 started coming out in college, but I was big into N64 and Nintendo growing up as a kid. I played a lot. And just as time went on, I had less time to do it. I still love to play games when I can. And, if my kids want to play games or Mario Kart or anything like that, I'm all about it. It's just, it sadly is I haven't had as much time as I used to, but I did used to collect. I was into Nintendo and Nintendo 64 were my two biggest systems. And sadly, I was probably like every other kid when I had a couple hundred of them. By the time I went to college, I probably had 30. It would just somehow they go away, and they're, probably piled at the GameStop warehouse that they gave me about 10 cents a trade in for.
No, we know that pain of you give it away, and then, like you said, I can imagine. I don't know if you have demographics like that, but like we've always said, collecting is one of those things. You're a teenager, you're an idiot. You probably get rid of most of your stuff unless you're like Jim, who still has like his first diaper saved for some reason.
I have a
save,
problem.
You say some people like are built with that, but most people are like, I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna move on to the next thing. And then you start chasing that collection as you grow up. You're like, oh, I want to get that game that I played. And like you said, this is a good experience because the number of games I would go and rent, play one time, never go and buy. Jim and I have tried Goodwills, garage sales, all these things. You're I don't know. I swear to God, some of these YouTubers that put shit up, they must be like staging this shit. Like the finds they do.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I can tell you, with all the places that we know to get games, I have never been lucky enough to walk into like a Salvation Army or a garage sale and find stacks of games. I watch these videos. I'm like, I'm amazed by it. I'm like, I've never in my life, and I'm around this industry, and I'm like, I've never seen that in my life. So
yeah,
I mean, good on them.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean you're offering something that I think is it's really unique, and one of the things we do want to announce is we're gonna put some of the rules and the info below, but we are gonna be giving away one of these boxes for this episode. So comment below, enter a chance to win between here, Twitter, Instagram, all the social medias. We're gonna choose a
Yep.
winner, but a box will be sent out, and
Yeah,
we will
and
also.
we'll share it on our Video Games Monthly page, and just anyone who comments, we're just going to pick a random comment, and probably a week after this airs, and I'll ship out a box to whoever gets picked.
Yeah, and it goes without saying, we have all the links below, but where should they be following you? Where do you want them to subscribe or make sure they're checking you
I
out?
mean, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Any of those are fine. I mean, anytime there's any type of news, we'll post it to pretty much all three of those. So if you're following one of them, you're in good shape. If you want to follow all three, that's amazing.
Nice, nice. And like I said, we will have the links below. But the real
Brian,
question.
Actually,
Yep,
Brian, I have to cut you off real quick.
go
Before we
ahead.
move on, I have to ask the most important question. Are you still a Fireball man, or have you moved on?
Oh God, no. I think the last time I did that was with you guys, and I don't ever want one ever again.
Wait, what about 99 bananas?
No. That's probably even worse. Yes. Yeah, that was a good night. That was karaoke night, wasn't it?
Yep.
That was the karaoke night.
Yes,
That's when we got to meet Johnny Cage and do karaoke.
Yes, yeah. He was with us that time. Yep. I was just with those guys a couple weekends ago at Midwest, and they're coming out to the Detroit show in November again now. So
Nice.
yeah.
That's awesome.
But yep, good.
So then, so let me ask you, what are you drinking with us tonight? Because I know we're not drinking alone.
I carried on the Cinco de Mayo. I just grabbed myself a Corona.
Okay.
Nothing
Okay.
crazy. I just it's what I had left over from yesterday.
Now, are you a lime or no lime?
Today there's no lime. Yesterday there was lime. So no.
Does it make you question the quality when you don't go lime? Because
No.
I'll be honest, when I've had some Coronas without them, I'm like, it's not as good.
Yeah, I think the taste is quite different. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What about you guys? What do you got over there?
What you got going on, Chambers?
Well, I am also keeping Cinco de Mayo going because from the Evil Genius Brewery, I am drinking the I Said What I Said Key Lime Margarita Sour. So I didn't actually have any of these yesterday because I went hard for Cinco de Mayo on the 4th. So yesterday was a little bit of a recovery day for me. So I'm back on it, but keeping that Cinco de Mayo going with the margarita flavor. I mean, if you like sours, you will enjoy this one. It doesn't set itself apart from any other sour all that much, but it is a very, very solid one. So if you're a fan of it, this is one to look out for.
Nice. Yeah, I did enough margaritas last night, so I needed to move away from Cinco de Mayo. So, in keeping
Quitter.
with our, at least I drank yesterday, Jim. You were just like, "Wah, I'm too hungover."
I still had enough alcohol to make up for it, Brian.
Jim, actually, what is funny, I said I've been away for a little while, and until I saw your one post, I was like, "Oh yeah, no IPA May." So, one of those things that we've been going hard the past few years. We're going to get the hashtag out there again. But this is obviously the month to celebrate non-IPA beers because it dominates the fields and there's a lot of other tasty shit out there. So I'm going tonight with the Three Floyds Brewing's Backmaskin Stout. It's their oatmeal stout. And this is one of the heavy boys that I got. And I'm looking for it. I believe it's 8.5 or 9%. And it's 9%. So yeah, it's a thick boy. Yeah. And I'm already more than halfway done in my Ron Burgundy glass. It's delicious. I love oatmeal stouts. I guess today's weather was appropriate because it was oddly cloudy, kind of cold at the beginning, and then it only got to 70. So, stupid Philly weather. This is what we can expect. But yeah, here we are. So, Joe, you already kind of glossed over this, and I know having kids, a business, everything keeps you busy. But do you have any time at all to play anything, or are you like
a lot of okay? So what I get to play is either what the kids want to play, if they want to play Mario Kart or anything that is Mario related, they'll play, and I'll play that with them. When I do get time to play, I like to go back to some of the classics, and what I mean by some of the classics is like I was just playing Resident Evil for PlayStation 1 about a week ago. And I don't have much time, but it's like, if we're testing games and I'm like, I'm just going to sneak a quick 10 minutes, then, one of those type things. But I do like going back to the classics. I was playing that. I was playing Mega Man 2 for Nintendo. I was playing. I pop in Contra probably once every year. Just I don't know why. It's one of my favorites. I always turn back to Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I don't know why. It's just something that like relaxing to play. You just sit there and it's mindless. But
That's the first time I've ever heard Punch Out be called relaxing and mindless. Normally, I'm just like sweat stressing the entire time trying to not die like King Hippo.
But if I had more time, I'd probably be in the Switch era right now. I'd be doing a lot of Switch playing. There's so many good titles out there. I have a backlog of probably 50 games that I haven't even touched, and I want to get to them. So, what about you guys?
Go on, Chambers. Let's hear what, because I've heard that the last 2 weeks you haven't had much game time in there.
No, there was not a lot of game time, but I finally sat down and forced myself to do a little gaming. And I've been watching a lot of the Fallout series on Amazon and loving it, and it gave me the itch. I had to go back to the Wastelands. So I had actually never gotten around to Fallout 4. So last night I finally popped it in and spent a couple hours wandering around. And it's like I popped it in and I'm immediately like, yeah, this is a Fallout game. Like I haven't played one of these in probably 10 years, either this or Skyrim or one of the Elder Scrolls. And it's literally just like, it's an old friend. Like maybe to its detriment in this day and age, it's kind of not reinventing the wheel, but there's something nice about popping in a game and knowing exactly what to expect, really.
Nice.
It's not totally gripping me yet, like the other ones seem to. Like the other ones, like maybe 2 hours in, I was like, all right, I'm addicted. This one, I'm still kind of waiting for it to happen, but I mean, it's still a great game.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm curious to see if that does grip you, because I still say that's the best of the Fallout games. Because speaking of Fallout, same deal. I'm going through a series. I'm loving the series. Got my itch. Went back to Fallout 3. I know there's games before it, but I'll be honest, I don't care how many times I restart Fallout 1 or 2. That style I can't get into. Fallout 3 I went back to, and man, going from Fallout 4 and 76 back to 3, it's
I hear it's rough.
It's a little rough. I still love it, like you said. It's an old friend. It's old faithful. Rediscovering shit I completely forgot about that game. So I'm very deep into that. I finally got around to beating Toilets in Wonderland, one of our Patreon reviews, and my God, what the fuck? I don't even know what to. I can't. When we review it,
Save it for the review, Brian. But yes, it's something you can only truly talk about without spoiling it.
But Joe, to your point, my son, he's big into gaming. He's Minecraft, Roblox, Fortnite, things like that. And now with the Star Wars event, he's like, oh, of course, like play it for me. And it's like every couple days, I'll just have to turn it on. And like I get a battle royale and he's all excited. And I'm like, okay. Or then I die like 3 people in. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like I'm still learning the game, but like he'll be like, oh, let's play this. So I've done a fair amount of gaming, I'd say, the last 2 weeks, but it's mostly been over those 3 games. So that's kind of been my main focus. So not a ton, but I think I'm getting the Fallout itch. I don't know if I'm going to go past Fallout 3 and reinvest in other ones, but I did just beat New Vegas like a year ago or 2 years. I forget when we did that, if it was for last year or the year before. But yeah, I'm curious to see your take on Fallout 4, Chambers.
Yeah, now I'm interested to see if it's going to grip me again like it did all those years ago. I don't know if I'm into headspace or what, but we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic, Brian.
Yeah. Well, Chambers, I did mention Toilets in Wonderland, and you still need to get around to playing Postal 2. But
yeah, I'll be starting that this week.
But we only have to play those games for one reason and one reason only. It is from our Patreon. So, Chambers, what questions do we have this week from our awesome patrons?
Patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question that we will answer on each and every single one of these Power Hour podcasts. First up from Burn Retinas, what is a darker fate? If video game memory cards came back, but all platforms used the PS1 15 slot storages, or all companies stop implementing analog sticks on their controllers.
We'll let you go first, Joe. What's your take on that one?
Oh God. So repeat the analog stick thing again now. No analog sticks on any controllers.
Yeah, it's either no analog sticks at all, or we have to go back to memory cards, but it's like the PS1 where it only had 15 slots.
I guess no analog sticks. How are you gonna? I mean, half these games you're not gonna be able to. I mean, yeah, no analog sticks for me.
Yeah, this one at first glance I was like, this is hard, but then I was like, you know what? No, you can't get rid of the analog sticks. And maybe if it forced you to go back to memory cards, it would force you to slow down on the number of games you're willing to start and not finish, and then you delete
There's,
old data, and it might focus you a little more. So
I think you're right
yeah,
with the plain one game thing, absolutely, because I remember back in the day, you would finish a full game because you were storing that on that memory card, and then as soon as you're done, delete the data.
there was no bigger heartache than, even though I have a box filled. Actually, Joe, the box you sent me for Video Games Monthly, you can kind of see it in the corner down there.
Yep.
That holds all my old PS1 and PS2 memory cards, and
Go.
I had so many of them. But still, there would come that day when I've had to delete old data. And man, when you look at that screen and it was the cool little avatars dancing or whatever, oh man, it was always painful to hit that delete button. What about you, Chambers?
And Joe knows this as a N64 guy. Some games would take up an entire goddamn cart.
Absolutely.
Like wasn't it like Mario Kart? Speaking of, like, didn't like having your ghost like races saved on there take up almost an entire freaking cart?
That Wave Racer, oh my God, the GoldenEye game. I mean, there's tons of games that I remember having probably 20 of those different memory cards, just all labeled with what games are on each one. Oh, the good old days, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's analog sticks. I can always buy more controllers, but if a game's gonna control, I guess, then I'm not gonna play it. So
Yeah.
I know people have made like gimmicky dual D-pad controllers and stuff like that, but it's a reason it never catches on. You need to have that full control.
Yeah, 100%. I like the idea, burn retinas, but yeah, this one little easy.
Next up from Todd Howard Sucks. There is a lot of crazy rain and flooding going on in our city right now. We're fine. What is the craziest weather you've been through? I'll start this. I work in the municipal field in the emergency response department. So basically, one time during a hurricane, I was kind of locked at work for about 3 days straight. So we actually had like bunk beds that, well, just for cases like that. So I wound up sleeping on these like twin size bunk beds with my fat ass on there. And I would only be like getting like 2 hours of sleep at a time and like doing these rotating shifts. And when I like finally left after those couple days, like driving down the main strip, it was like we don't get tornadoes a lot around here or anything that crazy, but it did look like a war zone just went through. Like trees down everywhere, light poles down everywhere, still like tons of intersections all flooded out. So, and when I was in that room, I think I spent half the time with the power basically just out anyway. So I was like I was forwarding all these emergency calls to my personal cell phone, and I will still wind up getting calls for like 3 years later. I'd get one every once in a while. So that was fun.
Yeah, we don't.
How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I was say we don't have too much bad weather here in Michigan, but we get those occasional tornadoes that knock the hell out of the power for 3-4 days, and those aren't fun. So that's probably as bad as we get here.
Yeah, I'm going similar to yours, but ours was when I want to say 7 years ago, we got really bad ice storms, and it knocked my power out for almost 6 days. And here's the deal: prior to that, my house maybe once a year would lose power.
Yeah.
But when it lost it, we literally would just huddle in the living room. I have a fireplace. I moved all my food outside. Luckily, it was cold enough where I built basically a makeshift refrigerator, and I would just store shit like the food and stuff out there. But yeah, it sucked like hell. And luckily, we had friends and family if we needed to go get showers or whatever. But I was like holding it down. I was like, no, I got to keep the fire going because I got to, I don't want the pipes to freeze. Like all this mentality. Since then, I get a goddamn generator, and I've never once lost the power since I got a generator. I'm almost pissed. I'm like, I bought this fucking thing just for me to not use it. But yeah, that was not fun. So
That's
yeah,
the old rule of buying a snowblower.
Oh, dude. Yeah, same deal. I bought a snowblower. I think I use it once a year since, but before then I'd be out there shoveling for 4 hours. It sucks. Yeah.
Especially in your damn driveway that you would half-ass, and I'd slip on some ice and break my freaking butt.
You'd slip on water. Who are you kidding?
That's beyond the point, Brian. But that rounds up all the questions for this week. So once again, we want to thank all the patrons out there for all the support. Make sure to head on over to Patreon, check out all the tiers for bonus episodes, game review requests, movie review requests, and all that good stuff. And if you're on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube, make sure to hit up all of the different links. Leave some subs, leave some comments. Anything you can do will help the page. And the more places you follow, the more spots you'll be able to get in on this giveaway, which we once again have to thank Joe for.
No problem. And I know you guys sent over some awesome news you're going to go over. If you don't mind, though, I'm going to scoot out and I'm going to go figure out what my kids are doing because I hear a lot of stomping.
Oh, yeah, we know that pain.
Thank you, bud. We truly appreciate you hopping on, and we do have all the links below. Make sure you're following Too Many Games or
Video Games Monthly, Brian.
God damn it. Yeah. I know we're going to see you in Too Many Games is what I meant to say.
Center kicking in for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll share everything. And like I said, we'll just pick a random winner. I'll get a box out to them and we'll go from there. But I appreciate you guys even taking the time to have me on. And if there's any questions that haven't been answered that you guys receive or are in the comments, I'll try to get myself or someone else to respond to them as well.
Awesome. Thank you, bud. We truly appreciate it.
No problem. I appreciate it too. And we'll see you guys soon.
All right, Chambers. So once again, before we hit on these stories, we want to say thank you to Joe. Please make sure you check out the links below. Comment below if you want a chance to win the awesome prize. As we said, Jim and I have both received packages from there. You won't be disappointed. So make sure you're checking those out. So Chambers, yes, I do want to say once again, good job keeping up with the episodes. I know I was texting you. I said, there's always a sick joy of like when I know you're going through the pain of editing to get an appreciation for what you have to deal with.
I mean, it's bad enough when I have to edit myself to try to take out all my pregnant pauses and all my ands and buts. Like, if you think there's a lot in the final product, you should have heard the rough draft. Holy shit. My transitions are awful. But then I had so many fucking tech issues on top of it. It took up the whole goddamn week to get that last episode out.
Yep. Tech issues are always fun, aren't they, Jim?
Sure are. And I am goddamn dreading this one and praying to God that everything goes smoothly.
Listen, worst case, if you're listening and Jim's audio seems a little off, that just means we had to use the Zoom audio. That's all.
Just prayers.
But Chambers, we do got a lot of good stories this week, and one of them I actually was listening to on Preston and Steve, and yeah, this is a weird one. So, is Dave and Buster's a thing that's outside of Philly? Is that nationwide?
I think they're around nationwide. Okay. I might be wrong, but I know they were like definitely at least in the tri-state area. But I think they were out more.
So, if you don't know, Dave and Buster's is like it's a huge like arcade place. It used to be on Columbus Boulevard in Philly. It's opened up a gazillion locations since then. But they are now going to allow players 18 years and older to gamble on arcade games. So when I was listening to Preston and Steve cover it, I'm still a little gray on exactly what they're going to allow or how it's legitimately going to be allowed. Like, are you just betting on you think someone's going to win a multiplayer style game, or is it like that's what I don't get? Like, who is taking the action? Where is it done? Like, there are questions I have there.
So I haven't seen a ton of info on it yet, given specifics. So I guess they have to basically let us know. But yeah, are you gonna be that like a Dave and Buster's betting on like a 5-year-old on a whack-a-mole, like it's a dog race basically at this point? Which I will do. I am willing to do that.
Well, here's my question, and I did look like so you're gonna be placing some wagers on this, but is it really gonna be like, okay, it has to be multiplayer games, right? Like, it can't be just somebody goes up to a single player game and you're like, I bet he won't get the score. So maybe if like somebody is doing a racing game, you're like, I'll bet so and so wins. But isn't that going to be inherently like kind of like you could skew it and kind of like be cheating people out of money
Oh.
and I don't know. There's so many questions I have with this one. Or is it certain games like maybe you can wager on yourself? Like I bet I can get a certain score or a high score.
So basically, instead of paying its arcade games for tickets that could be redeemed for prizes, people potentially could raise the stakes of a round of skee ball or a game of billiards by putting real money on it. So they have 160 locations nationwide. So they have a shitload of places out there. And they're teaming with software company Lucra to create a digital wagering platform that would be available through the app used by the loyalty club members. They create what it calls real money gamification software that allows peer-to-peer betting. And then it'll include Zach Ertz, good old former Philadelphia Eagle, Super Bowl champion Zach Ertz, putting his name behind it. So it doesn't say yet when it's going to roll it all out and shit like that. Apparently, lawmakers in Pennsylvania and New Jersey are already like questioning its legality and how it can actually work. So yeah, I think there's a lot of kinks to work out before they're going to roll this out anywhere.
All right, so Chambers, say we decide we're going to take the kiddos to good old Dave and Buster's. If you get the chance to bet on some skee ball or billiards, you think you're going to throw down a few bucks?
I mean, me versus you, yeah. Or Brian, do we get real drunk and bet on our wives going against each other? Is that the real monkey knife fight we have to pull out here?
Do we even need money to win in that situation, Jim?
No, but it makes it more fun.
It does. It does. Are we going to just bet if the game can actually get done?
Right. We've bet on them in trivia before, and we've had a blast. So God only knows what happens if we put money into the mix.
Here's the deal. And I do love the backlash it's received. And, like, it's a family place. Like, I don't know. Maybe I just don't think it's that big of a deal. I could see if you're a true degenerate, like, yeah, it could pull out degenerates, but they're going to go to casinos. They're going to go horse betting. Like, this is going to be for that goofy, like, couple of dads who are just there to do whatever and are fucking around. They're like, yeah, let's put some money on this game. I don't see, I don't know. I don't see the harm in that. I don't think this is going to, like, people are, like, worrying about, like you said, the legality, moralization of it all. I'm like, I think you're reading too hard into it. I don't think it's going to draw a whole new CD crowd to Dave and Buster's.
Well, yeah, I mean, it adds a lot of, well, I don't know. If you had real gambling anywhere, you're going to get the CD customers, and it doesn't matter where the fuck you are. But there are, like, good questions about, like, lawmakers are questioning it because they're like, we've never had to deal with gambling like this before. We don't know what to do. So they're worried. And then there's other people from, like, gaming boards that are like, you can bet with your peers, but why would you want to use an app to do that if you're just there with your friend? Why would you go through a third-party thing at that point? So
that's the point I don't get. You and I could just say, let's put $5 down on this. Yeah, I don't get the app part of it.
My guess is going to be, since if it's going to be done through the loyalty program, then they'll probably put some kind of incentive for, like, points or rewards or shit like that, depending on how much you bet and use it. That would be my guess. It'd be like a casino when, like, if you put in your club card membership, you're building up towards, like, the Diamond Club or shit like that, or extra perks. So it's probably just going to be some point-based kind of deal. Like a real casino. I mean, is nothing pure anymore, Brian? I know when I go to AC with the wife and, like, we're, like, going to casinos and shit, but we see, like, that family that drags their kids through it with them, and we're like, why is the kid here? Like, they're not having a good time. They're bored off their ass. And, like, you always judge them. You judge them a bit. Like, can't we just leave that? I don't know if I'm for this. Maybe leave Dave and Buster's pure, Brian. That's what I'm getting at.
I mean, I think the fact that it's a place that introduces alcohol, you're already not pure. So,
right, that's called family parties.
Which aren't pure.
That ship has sailed.
So yeah, there are a bunch of states and places that are trying to ban it or go against it. So I don't know if it's fully going to take or not. Let's see in a couple months if anything new pops up.
Yeah, but it's something we will be following and probably imbibing in.
Chambers, I mean, in a couple months, when we unfortunately have to say goodbye to a dear friend of ours. This is something I'm actually shocked it took as long as it did. But Microsoft has announced that the Xbox 360 marketplace will be shut down on July 29th of this year. And we should mention backwards compatible games that are available in the Xbox Store will still be available. Yeah, we've said the true pioneer of, in my eyes, what do you want to call it? Like all-in-one entertainment. I think you said on the one episode, like kind of combining the online gaming with the social aspect with all this, and still the best online store that was created originally is finally going bye-byes.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, the UI's taken a shit over the past couple years. Like, to me, you're never going to top like that sliding plane, like 2009 style 360 UI. But yeah, I mean, that's the one that really brought it all together. Like party chat, party gaming, friends list. Everything was just so damn easy to use. And for like 2005 for the 360, like it was way ahead of the curve. But
yeah.
damn near 20 years. They couldn't make it the full 20.
Hey, it had a great run. Now here's the deal. When the completionist did his bullshit with the Wii U and that marketplace, do you think they're probably trying to buy all the games and doing it on this as well?
I don't think the completionist is going to try and do that, but I think someone will try and do that gimmick.
Here's a really dumb question. If you had to just throw out a guess, and I'm going to try to look it up, how many games do you think are on the marketplace?
Oh, Christ. It's got to be a couple thousand. I know that there are some articles out there that they're saying, I think there's like 220 some games that like only live on the Xbox 360 marketplace. So when that goes away, at least over 200 games are just going to go poof into the ether. But then there's so many other like digital only games that are on there, and then all the main titles that eventually went up on there once they started rolling that out. It's got to be so friggin' many, man.
So, yeah, I found a few little forums and Reddit things for people trying to search for that very thing. I'm seeing a couple different things, but apparently people have made some list of like what you're saying, ones that are exclusively on there. And you know what? Honestly, that would be something that would interest me. I'd like kind of want to see, all right, what's a game that I could in theory never get? But here's the one caveat. I have more faith in 360 and Marketplace that they would resurrect and bring those back for the other ones, or PC even.
A chunk of them, yeah. I mean, there's going to be some that probably sold like dog shit even in its heyday. So, I wouldn't expect any of those to come back. But yeah, I mean, if
a lot of
Microsoft
those are
is...
the. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go on. What are they?
No, a lot of Kinect games.
Shocker.
I'm seeing a lot of titles there, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'll need to touch any of those. I still have my Kinect, but yeah, I don't think I'm going near those.
Oh, right. True alpha chads like us have both versions of the Kinect. All right.
Hey, Jim, I'm seeing two games here that we did cover: the South Park Let's Go Tower Defense and Scott Tenorman's Revenge.
Ah, fuck. I got to download Tenorman's Revenge to my 360 before it goes away.
Got to get it, Chambers.
I do love my tower defense game, though. That's a shame that one's going to go bye-bye. But, yeah, seriously, though, I mean, it's the end of an era, like we said. So many games are just going to go, into the ether, forgotten relics. Lost media, Brian. The new era of lost media is coming.
I always equate it to the old silent films or even just movies in general that were shot on just camcorders. What are these called? Not POV, COV, or there's a term for them where they were just like shot
guy.
on. Yeah, shitty movies that were just shot on whatever. It's like some of those games. Is anyone really gonna miss them, Jim? You tell me.
Why the game preservation? We gotta preserve at all costs. Everything has value.
It does it though.
It's all history.
I don't believe it. Some things need to be left behind.
Right. It is history and it is culture. Right. There could be a Jersey Shore Connect game that no one will ever be able to experience again, and you'll be left wanting.
Wow. That's like the Burger King games, Jim. If those ever just fully disappeared, I think it's okay.
Right, can the world really live without Sneak King? Maybe there's some, what do you call it? simulation like housing market game, and the interest rates are like 3%. And I'm gonna look at that and be like, oh, how quaint. I remember the days. What a relic.
Damn it, Jim. But here, let's raise our glasses to the old marketplace, the thing that helped pioneer modern day marketplaces, except for Nintendo, who still manages to fuck it up. Cheers.
At least Nintendo has the titties. That's where you can find your titties these days.
Damn it, Jim. By the way, there's a tweet I need to share with you from Puppet Combo. They're talking about like, have you downloaded the latest game? And it's a joke, but they have their game in the old icon style on your like PC, but surrounded by hentai games with names. And I'm like, God damn it! Like all these names, I was like, fuck, and they're so obscene. And I'm like, I bet Jim has heard of like 3 or at least most of these.
They could all be fake, and there would still be a 93% chance that they would be a real game.
Exactly. So I'll send that to you. Maybe that could be for a crusty corner.
Research.
But Chambers,
Yes.
I'm actually really glad you brought this one on here as well. So why don't you describe? It's from Linus Tech.
Linus Tech Tips. He's been around forever in the YouTube sphere. He's a tech channel. He has a YouTube. He has a podcast now, like everyone else. But yeah, he put out a tier list of consoles. So Insane Mega CD put the list up there because I would have never known about it unless this got shared around. And oh, did the people have them opinions on this?
They sure did. I saw a multitude of opinions on here. One that I know you probably wholeheartedly disagree with, but one that I saw a lot of people agree with, which is, how dare they put the Switch in the S tier? That is ridiculous.
How dare they not put the Switch in the S tier? Fucking old people and going, wah. Oh, the Switch shouldn't be up there. Shut the fuck up. Switch should absolutely be up there.
All right. Well, you know what? We're going to go through this, but I do have the picture up for anyone who's listening. If you're watching, if you're listening, we're going to go through it. It goes S through F. So Chambers, we'll quickly go through the F tier. Why do they have Charles E. Cheese on there? Why do they have Chuck E. Cheese? What the fuck? I don't even get it.
Yeah, he's probably being a little bit of a silly boy there, Brian.
So Atari 5200, no
Sure.
experience with it. Jaguar on the F tier seems a little low because
I think if you ask our buddy G to the next level, he will agree with you on that.
So, and let me ask you this: are they, when you look at this list, are you ranking importance, games, controller? Like, what are you personally when you see a list like this? Are you ranking it?
I'm probably just going to go on the quality of the library, I guess. The quality of the hardware and the quality of the library.
Okay.
I mean, it's tough to do any of these because you have to take like history and all that other bullshit into account too. So,
yeah. So then, good old Philips CDI, right where it belongs.
It's a rough one. We see the eye lovers are the most depressed race, Brian.
All right, and then you got the Amiga CD32. So other than a Jaguar, I don't have an issue, but I have no experience. Well, I have experience with CDI through you, but I don't have experience with any of the others. Then we move up to D tier, Nintendo Color TV. I don't know what the fuck that is.
It's a Pong console. It's Nintendo's Pong console before the NES, basically. And yeah, I mean, he's got to be putting historical significance in for that because a Pong console should not be anywhere above an F.
It shouldn't.
Yeah.
No. Then you got the Sega SG-1000.
It was their like first home console. Again, like the games are damn near unplayable on that thing these days.
Yeah.
Same with the Channel F. Channel F is a very important system, but you're not going to go back and play one these days.
Odyssey 2, same deal.
I still regret not buying that Odyssey 2 with too many games for $40 box. Still regret it to this day. That was a misfire.
The 3DO.
I mean, that is some 3DO hate right there.
That is, but I have no experience with the system, so I can't argue it.
Yeah,
it seems low from someone very peripherally, but I can't say boo about it.
And when you look at the rest of the list, it's kind of like, makes sense.
And then the PCFX,
the Japan only sequel to the PC Engine. A lot of porn games on there, but from what I've seen from the library, I guess I can go with the D. It's probably fine.
So then we move on to C tier. The Wii U probably should be a D. If you take into account what it
Now,
as a Nintendo console,
compared to what else is in the D tier, like it does have some great games on it. It's got more good games than anything else that's listed in the D tier here. So,
and I'd argue most of those D tiers should be F tiers.
I mean, probably fair, but I mean, I know you're a Wii U hater, and I'm a defender in a way, so I'll say a C is fine.
The Master System.
That's some hate right there.
But honestly, there's no way that's even a B tier system.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
I don't think it's a D tier. So I think C is appropriate. The Saturn at a C tier. That is one where having only played it at friends' homes and knowing the catalog, you talk about hate. That's the first one in this list where I go, all right, there's some shade being thrown here. I think that's a definite at least B tier. I could never give it an A tier because I don't, once again, haven't played it enough. But C seems a little bit like some shade.
Yeah, just for the quality of the library, especially in Japan, I think you have to give it at least a B.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel the same about the Xbox One. Regardless of its shitty launch and like what everyone was fearful of when it first launched, you and I have had it. That was our primary console for fucking ever, and I had a ton of fun. I had no issues with it. I don't get the hate for it, other than, like I said, its launch and its numbers.
No exclusives.
Who cares?
That's the problem, though.
Yeah, but I don't care about that. Like I'm saying, did the console work? Did I enjoy the marketplace? Did I ever have an issue with it?
It introduced Game Pass. That's a big thing to put up there for it.
So, yeah, I think that's another one. You're throwing some shade. And especially when you fucking have Atari Pong, like you said. Now
Historical.
now you're bleeding in and saying historical matters. And I'm like, there should be its own column for just historically important, but you don't really want to rank it.
I mean, Pong is Pong. You can't go wrong with Pong. Pong.
You can't.
What to say?
But then you need to put cell phones on there and be like, it beats them all. 7800. I've never played a 7800 game. Unless it was on a flashback thing.
Yeah, 7800 was a miss of the system. I think it only had like 90 actual games for it that weren't backwards compatible. That were just like, because it was backwards with the 2600. But yeah, it didn't have a ton of games like at all on its own.
So with that explanation,
that should be more of a D.
That's what I was going to say. Shouldn't it be at least a D?
Yeah. And like the Odyssey, like I get historical, but come on.
Yeah, you can't pop on Odyssey and
fucking overlays. You can't pop it on without an overlay. Can't do anything with it.
So that's historical. In television, I would argue the same thing. It's historical. And the ColecoVision.
Yeah, I mean the Intellivision is my least favorite of like Atari, Coleco, and Television, but like I'd put like if I was gonna leave any of them in C, I'd maybe do Coleco, but even then, like I love me my Coleco, but you got to like the times. It's rough.
Okay. So then B tier, Nintendo 64.
I'll say it's fair.
Yeah, I can't argue that.
I think that's the best I can expect for the N64.
Yeah. And I know there will be a lot of people who will be like, that's way too low. But
there's going to be a lot of them going to say it's way too high, too.
Yeah. And even me, I might give you shit on it. You can't. I could never, in good conscience, call, even though most of the library is dog shit and it aged the worst of any console. B is fine. Same with the GameCube. I think a B is fine. Dreamcast,
yeah.
Now this is where, once again, I think the people who made this list probably don't like Xbox very much because you got Series S, Series X. Honestly, you should have just said Series. I don't think you even needed to separate them.
I don't get the Series being a B and the Xbox One being a C. Because at least the Xbox One had a lot more exclusives to it. Like, I don't know what sets the Series apart except for being like a more powerful Game Pass machine. I don't get that listing at all.
I don't know. I
I would swap them. I could, if you said swap the series with the Xbone, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. And here's the deal. Honestly, if all the shit you've been talking about and we've been talking about, if Shippy really does start becoming exclusive for Microsoft, that series will all of a sudden have exclusives out the ass that, in theory, should prop it up. 2,600 at a B. You know what? I'm actually okay with that.
I'm fine with it. A lot of it's rough to go back to, but historical purposes, and a lot of the games are still fun for how simple they are.
You can still pick those up and be like, you know what? I get it. TurboGrafx 16. Is it a bit too high? I don't know.
If you throw the whole PC Engine library in there with it, I think it's fine. TurboGrafx 16, like North American on its own, I'd even say it's a little high. And I love the Turbo, but it'd be a little high.
Yeah. It's a little too niche for me for it to be a B. But I get it. I'm not going to hate on it too much. Neo Geo, just who the fuck who could afford it? Like, put it in its own column. I know from playing games not on that console, but remakes of those games through Game Pass and other things, had a lot of fun games. But once again, I knew one person pretty much my entire life growing up until I was in my 20s that ever even owned one. So,
and I hope you like shooters and shmups, because that's all you're playing. Yeah. And fighting games, I mean. Fighting games and shooters.
But even with all that being said, I would be fine saying that's a low B tier, because I don't know if when he did this ranking, if also he's ranking them horizontally as well, like if that's the actual order.
I doubt it. No one really ever seems to do that.
Yeah. So then we move into the A tier, the NES. Whew. I see. If this guy is weighing historical shit, which he seems to be doing, can you really not put that S tier?
So much of the library sucks, though. But then again,
you could say that about a lot of these systems.
That's true, but
I don't know. I just have an inherent problem when people think of early video games. I would say 95% of people out there who are not gaming nerds think gaming started with the NES.
Basically, yeah.
And it really did. Like, it's just like saying Halloween is the first slasher. It's not. There was plenty before it, but it really that was a new starting point.
I know you're gonna love the next one.
That's just a numbers game. It should be a B tier.
I would even argue C. The best thing about the Wii is the Virtual Console, which is awesome, and it was revolutionary for its time. Introduced an entire generation of retro gaming. But you're still banking on, being able to replay classic games on there. For actual Wii games, there's 20 you'd ever really want to ever play again.
It's too high, one way or another. I was trying to be fair and say maybe I could give it a B if you weigh in some of this shit, but
maybe for being the ultimate grandma console, maybe, because since everyone had one, but yeah.
It's the most family friendly of all consoles. I'll give it that.
Yep.
Then your Genesis, which I'm fine with it.
Fine.
Yeah. Even the Xbox, I'm fine with A. I could even see the argument if people want to say that's a little too high. It could be a B.
I would say more B for that.
Yeah. I don't hate it at A because I love that generation, but as a console, especially if you were dealing with the Duke and some of the shit, that was a little bit of a wonky console to deal with.
I mean, it was the best way to play third-party consoles because it was the strongest one. And first-party games, it had some cool titles on there.
Yeah.
Weird library, though. I don't know. I think A still might be a little high.
Yeah. PS3 at an A. And we should just mention then PS5 as well.
I don't get the PS5 being there at all. I do not get that one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think you automatically need to put the PS5 wherever the series is. Like, yes, there's God of War, and there's a couple other.
It has exclusives. 10 more exclusives.
That's my point.
0.
Where I'm like, what you can't put the PS5 above the series in any legitimate way with the very, very, very small handfuls that, by the way, they ended up, most of them becoming PC available as well. So, the fuck? That's why this list really starts not making sense. But getting back to the PS3, I guess I'm okay. I don't know. That's a weird one for me. Knowing what's in the S tier and knowing that generation, I'm kind of like,
it's a good library. It's just a weird one. I never clicked with the PS3. I like it. I've liked playing on it, but it just never clicked with me though either.
same. Yeah.
It's almost weirdly like every problem we have in gaming today kind of started with the PS3 in a way, with just like how game design is. So it's a weird one.
Yeah. So that rounds out the A tier. Then we get to the S tier. Super NES.
Fine.
I'm fine with it. Switch.
Yep.
I'm not okay with that.
Either.
It's just convenience. I think it should be A tier. That's it. Just for convenience. That's all. 360, yes. Jim and I obviously praised it earlier. PS1 as an S tier.
I'm fine with that.
Are you? Because here's the deal. I love the shit. I'm hardcore PS1. But then, once again, this goes back to my argument. How can you have the NES as an A tier and the PS1 as S? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? That's a fine argument too. Like, the only thing I would say in Sony's favor is the library, for being more advanced, it does have a little bit of everything, but it is rough to go back to though.
It's very rough.
It's got the same problem with the NES. It's got a little bit of everything. It was like, very insanely influential for its time, but rough to go back to. I don't know. I could say PS1 at an A would be fine.
Or like you said, keep PS1 at S. Just move NES up to S. I'd be okay with it. PS2 at S, obviously.
Fine.
And the PS4 at S. I'm kind of okay with that. That had probably the best exclusives of
that generation easily. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I'm like, I guess, and it performed well as shit. So I'm like, I could also see if you put it at A, it wouldn't break my heart either.
Yeah, I mean the PS4 was huge, and it did have a pretty strong library the entire run of it. So yeah, I guess that's fine.
I'm okay with it. I mean, all in all,
I play more PS4 games on my PS5 than my PS5. So there you go.
So all in all, you know what? I don't hate this list. Obviously, a lot of people were very butthurt when their systems were but
it was all boomers bitching that the NES was an A and the Switch was an S. That's all it was. Where?
God damn it, Jim.
Get with the times, grandpas. Get with the times.
But yeah, you let us know your reaction. Is something wildly overrated or underrated? Let us know below.
He's got the original legend. He's got the we're trying to be an S. Shut up.
Oh, Jim. I missed firsthand hearing all your negativity and not just watching it.
God damn right.
Jim, you realize you're just going to become the nihilist dudes from Big Lebowski.
Oh, I'm completely a nihilist. I fully accept it. I know what I am. Nothing matters. Everything sucks. I'm just going to do for me. Fuck everyone else. I don't care.
Well, Jim, couldn't you argue that was what PlayStation was attempting to do with Helldivers II until they had to recant it?
Look at little Brian with his transition right there.
That's right. So this is not new news, but as of today, the big news out there was that Helldivers 2 would have required you to link your Steam and PlayStation Network accounts, and it was automatically going to do it for all new players, and then for current players, they would have had to do it by May 30th. It received overwhelming. I didn't see a single defender of it. I saw some people downplaying it, but I don't think I saw many defenders. Majority was saying, what the fuck, you're crazy. PlayStation actually deleted their original tweet about this. And
Helldivers deleted off their account.
But PlayStation has responded and basically said, we've heard your feedback. We're still learning from this. We'll keep you updated on future plans. Which, it's funny, in that statement, they're not saying they won't. Like, they're saying we're not going to move forward with this linking. Do you think they're just going to alter it? I guess here's the thing I didn't get, and I did try to look into it. Why were they going to try to have you do this? Did that make any sense?
Here's one thing that I didn't realize when all this went down, because like when Helldivers 2 first came out, me and you were like, what the fuck is this? Because the first Helldivers came out like 11 years ago and was a very marginal hit. Like, I think it sold like 1 or 2 million units, which, hey, ain't bad. It's just a game I never heard of.
Yeah.
So I went to our buddies in the Discord and I was like, someone explain to me why this is such a big deal. So here's what the rundown basically turned into. So if anyone else out there wants to join in, links to the Discord are below. So good old Drewski basically broke it down. One thing I didn't realize either at first was on the Steam page for the listing, it had a warning from day one that said this will require a PSN account to log in. So I didn't realize that it said that, but I guess it wasn't ready at the time. So Sony kind of allowed them to still start playing the game without it. So I guess instead of dealing with the delay, they just let people do it and we're going to put it in later. So of course, all the PC master race people don't want to be tied to a fucking console, especially PSN, which has had a history of gigantic data leaks. That's the last place you want to have any of your goddamn info, especially your credit card. But yeah, so here's the breakdown that we got off Discord. Sony announces Helldivers 2 would require linking a PSN account on day one. Arrowhead is the developer. They cautioned that the server load couldn't handle the influx of people joining the PSN account, so Sony temporarily waived the requirement, but never informed the players when the requirement... All right, well, they did require it, so yeah, that's a little bit wrong. But then Sony launched the game on Steam, and Valve allows virtually every country's storefront to buy the game, despite both Valve and Sony being aware that the PSN requirements or either company could have prevented the access to that. So that is shitty, but that is apparently a generic Steam problem that has been around forever. Like, Steam is just a storefront and they have a rule. Like, if you go to their About Us, I guess, it basically says, hey, we will sell games that are not available in your country. And if you buy this game that's not available there, that's on you. That kind of deal. So PSN is only available in 69 countries. Steam is available in over 170. 3 months after launch, Sony has Arrowhead issue a statement that Helldivers 2 would require a PSN account. Like we talked about, given Steam's return policy, which is only 30 days, and the lack of transparency beforehand, which, I mean, I guess it was kind of there. Most Steam users in the countries where the PSN wasn't available would not be able to receive refunds. And on May 4th, the Steam database was updated to prevent purchases or future purchases that didn't have the PSN store. Users complained and Valve relented and offered refunds to players in affected countries despite not meeting their return policy. And then Sony went on Twitter to announce that it canceled its plans to require the integration after a massive public backlash. So yeah, this was just a whole absolute shitstorm from top to bottom for everyone involved. So at the very top, you have Sony, who wanted to have PSN, but they pushed it out anyway. And then you have Steam with their rules, who are just like, well, it's on our storefront now, so push it out to everybody. And then there you have the users who can very easily see the warning. But here's the thing. Like, I know there's people out there who want to blame the end user. You can't let people buy a game and have word of mouth spread that they can play it with no problems and not expect people to be pissed when you take it away from them. Like, the second, like, I get that you had a warning right there, but you have to dummy proof this shit for people who spend their money. If you're involved, the second you charge actual money for something, you are opening yourself up to any criticism, especially if people can't get refunds easily. Even given all the terms of service stuff. And I get that it said requires a PSN lockout, but if the sign says requires PSN and they can log in without it, then what the fuck does that sign have to do with anything at that point? So, yeah, I mean, you can blame the end user for not listening to the warning, but here's the thing. We're in the internet age. If you can't do something that you want to do, you'll probably find out from someone else within the day. So if it required a hard stop PSN account from day one, people who tried to play it without it just wouldn't play it, or they wouldn't have bought it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the people who did buy it would have gotten their refunds and it wouldn't have been a big deal. Or Sony could have not given it to Steam until it was ready with the integration that they wanted. And then this problem would have never have happened. And I get Steam, like Steam's storefront is just like an eternal shit pile. So like they have so much crap on there, they just throw it out there and leave it to the person to fend for themselves, basically. So while it's not a good practice, it has been their practice forever.
Yeah.
So again, I personally think the blame lies with Sony. If Sony didn't push it out before it was ready, then they would have never had this problem in the first place. Blame anyone else all you want, and there is blame to go around, but shit rolls downhill, and the first pebble got kicked by Sony by putting it out there. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, Sony, like you said, in this day and age, if you go on a website and it's a bullshit paywall, subscribe, even if it's just putting your email, within 5 seconds, you're like, I'm not going to fucking look at this. You
Right.
skip off. Like you said, if you went into this and it's like, hey, before you play, you need this. 90% of that those people probably would have been like, oh, fuck this. I'm not going to do it at all. If it was just, some little lettering at the bottom, come on, nobody reads that shit. So, yeah, I think this is on Sony. I'm curious, like, do they really want to take a chance? Well, I guess Sony would want to lose it. They wouldn't care. But the developers for Helldivers probably like, just let them fucking play. Because the player base on Steam is insane. And here's the deal. I don't think I mentioned this because I think I've been gone since then. But I actually did play Helldivers, and it is fun as shit. It's, you know what it is? I feel like every year there's that random game that pops up to be the multiplayer darling of the year. Like when COVID started, Among Us had its little day in the sunshine, and everyone's like, this is such a fun game. Then it was Fall Guys and all this other shit. That's the game. Yeah, that's the game of this year, I think, is Helldivers 2. And if you play it, it's simple, mindless fun, but it's well done. I'm not going to say it's like the most amazing game ever, but you know what it brings me back to? What we always say is the best ever. There's something reminiscent, kind of like a Left 4 Dead, where Left 4 Dead was not a deep game. It was a very surface, simple game, but it was so fun because you could do goofy shit. Like, I kind of feel like that when you're playing that. So I would be shocked if Sony does a full stop and says, nope, you still got to commit to doing this.
I guarantee they will do it in the future with like other games. And like there are people out there who are like, well, just sign up for a fucking PSN account because you don't need a paid account to log in. You just need a PSN free account that you can set up. But, people stopped their feet and didn't want to do it, which, hey, fine, because you didn't let them do it beforehand. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing too, why I think they relented, because there's a stat we have below. Even this past weekend, 80% of the user base was on Steam and PC.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably went, fuck, we either deal with the PR nightmare or we deal with refunds, or we just take our little piece of the pie from every sale and keep all these people happy and have everyone go on Steam and buy it. And that's money probably walked at that point. So
this is how, and I love all the memes now. It's like the fan base, now that they know they can bully Sony, like in the future. Like, to your point, I am curious if PlayStation decides to do this, you bet their ass they're going to come ready, but is it going to go over well? I don't know. Yes, is it hard for a player base to go sign up? Of course it's not. But try to get a motherfucker to go from Twitter to YouTube, and people don't like switching platforms for even simple shit. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
you hit the nail on the head. Yeah. The second you make people do 2 extra steps, go back to the fucking Wii U. Big reason that failed. People didn't want to look from their TV down to a screen back to the TV. You have to keep these things simple.
All in one. Yep. So I'll be very curious to see, like you said. I don't even know how long the Helldivers hype train will continue. I mean, it's still going pretty damn strong. I enjoy the shit out of it. I don't think it's going to be something. It's not going to be like the next battle royale style game. It's not going to be like a Fortnite or a PUBG or even Warzone. I think it will fizzle out at some point this year. I don't know when it will, but let it have its time in the sun. That's all.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Jim, our final topic, and one that pissed me off.
This news actually broke as I was editing the last one. And there's a part of me that was like, oh, I got to hit on it while it's fresh. But I couldn't take that away from you, Brian. I knew you'd like this too much.
I like it because it affects you on multiple levels. Well, really just one level. Just the fact that you've simped so hard for this company. And
I don't simp. I hate them. I just have a sickness and I keep buying for them. I've never defended
That's
them.
called simping. That is simping.
That is not simping.
You can't keep giving them money. That's the problem, Jim. I don't care. Your words say one thing, your actions say another. You're like, oh man, she's such a bitch, but I'm gonna keep buying all of her stuff. No, you can't do that. You gotta hate with your wallet, and you have not hated them with your wallet enough for my liking. That's all. But limited run games.
I can't quit you.
So, Jim, why don't you explain to the folks what's their latest bullshit debacle on top of all the terrible shit they've already done over the years? What's their latest bullshit?
So the news basically broke from Todd Gill over at Retro Frog, Todd's Nerd Cave, and his tweet went as this: LOL, Limited Run Games is shipping out 3DO games on CDR rather than pressed discs, and the best part, they won't even work on real hardware. So this is specifically for the Plumbers Don't Wear Ties release that they did recently, but there has been reports now of other games that haven't been working on real consoles. I forget for what system, to be honest with you. But yeah, not a pressed disc, not a real pressing of any kind of distributing for this game. They just put it on a fucking CDR and shipped it out with a custom label, basically.
Okay, so let me ask some
for
dumb
a
questions
premium,
here.
a
Of
30-cent disc, for like what, 70 fucking bucks probably.
So
for Plumbers Don't Wear Ties of all games,
what can you play CD-based games on if not the original? Like, other than what was that system we used to always talk about that had all the crazy add-on consoles? Like, if you're not doing it on the original 3DO, if you were to buy Plumbers Don't Wear
like a
Ties,
Polymega or something.
Yeah, like I think like if you were to buy an NES game, I feel like there's enough systems that you
clones.
The Retron and shit.
There's no clones for 3DO.
So that's my point.
There's the 3DO, and then there's having something to run a 3DO game on your PC, an emulator.
So that's the part that even confuses me. They even put that caveat. It doesn't even work on real hardware. Because I was like,
it was meant to.
Shouldn't it? Yeah. Well, no, that's my point, right? Like, that's the point of limited run, is it has to run on the original hardware. But
to stop you there, a lot of their releases are just like a re-release of an old game for newer consoles. But if they do say that this is supposed to run for the old console, it better fucking run on the old console.
Okay, wait. So then, where are they selling this? Like, let's say Plumbers Don't Wear Ties. Where are they selling this and saying you can play it on PS5 or Series X, but you should also be able to play it on 3DO?
I don't remember specifically offhand, and this also applies to D, the collector's edition. So, I think maybe this is mostly for D. I forget which at this point, but yeah, it was. I think there's editions you could buy for the newer systems, but they specifically made versions for the old console to play on.
Okay, so that's the part that I think I'm missing, because I'm like, I know, like, obviously Switch, you can only make Switch cards.
Yeah, you can't play like a PS5, like a disc pressed for 3DO on like a PS5 or the other way around.
Yeah,
because it's the right speeds. Like, you remember back in the day, we'd be ripping CDs and it would be like, 4x speed, 16x speed, shit like that. Yep. The 3DO, I believe, can only read CDs that run at a 2x speed. So we're talking old school here.
So that that ties into my point then, which is you would have to make a disc. It's not compatible with multiples, but to your point, if you got the version that was supposed to be compatible, it's still not working because they just decided. And maybe the CDRs do work on newer consoles.
I mean, the CDRs. I mean, if you hack a system, you can play anything. Like obviously, like the Dreamcast, big reason it failed was it was so easy to pirate the games on there. People just burnt CDs and played them on that all the goddamn time. So not that it's a lot harder to do it these days, but I guess there's someone out there who can make that work.
So either way, putting all that aside, what was their bullshit ass response to this, Chambers?
Well, Brian, they put out an official response, and at first they go into, how sorry they are, and, it's clear on the occasion they've fallen short of the high standards we set for ourselves, blah, 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 blah. Then it goes into, here comes the cope. Manufacturing games for hardware that is 30 plus years old presents a variety of challenges. We partner with one of the biggest disc replication partners in North America to press our physical discs, and despite researching original 3DO hardware and software extensively, we found quality and reliability issues when attempting to press 3DO discs in the traditional manner. In an attempt to offer full compatibility with the original hardware, our disc replication partner was able to successfully manufacture the discs using the CDR format, which we believed would work across all commercially available 3DO systems. This process was professionally done and was used to ensure maximum compatibility rather than serve as a cost-cutting exercise. We tested the discs on the 3DO consoles in our office, and all 5 discs from the games worked as expected. It was only upon shipping to our customers that we came to realize that some were experiencing difficulty. We will not be selling or shipping further copies of the game or any future 3DO titles until the situation has been resolved. We are currently working with new partners to find a solution for the traditionally pressed discs and will offer replacement discs to all customers. We will keep customers updated as this progresses, but in the meantime, any customer who desires can request a full refund at the link below. Please be assured that D, the Collector's Edition, is the only game affected by this issue. Further 3DO titles will not go into production until the issue has been fully resolved, and we are confident in full compatibility. Again, apologies.
Okay, so this is the thing that had me confused, what I was trying to ask earlier. So then on some people's consoles, it did work?
Yeah, for some it seems to work, and for others it doesn't. And the 3DO does have a lot of different versions of the system too. So it wasn't just like that one base Panasonic 3DO. I think there's like 5 or 6 different revisions of the system, kind of like the CDI has. But of course, the real hardcores on Twitter immediately said bullshit, because you have comments like, so you chose CDRs to ensure compatibility on a device notorious for not playing well with CDRs? Can't make this up. The CDR uses a layer of dye higher up in the disk's subrate that a writer etches away to approximate the pits and lands of a compact disc. Is this something that the 3DO's very primitive and delicate laser really did not tolerate? Other people saying, I predicted this all along. Just throw a third-party partner under the bus and do refunds with the promise of doing right in the future, which, one, God knows how long that'll take, because God knows CDs and records they try to produce would take 3 years to get into people's hands. Voltar was like, that laser system is not a CD. It's a laser issue, not a CD issue. Their test pool was 5 different 3DOs, probably unserviced. There is no way, shape, or form a reasonable metric or benchmark that any professional worth their salt would ever use. He goes hard on everyone who does him dirty. So, yeah. And then it just kind of goes from there.
Okay, here's the deal. Everyone, I think, and their mother knows, who does know, knows that Limited Run is not the greatest company. But I'm kind of shocked something as random as a 3DO. Like, do people really care that much, or is this more just people bandwagon hating on Limited Run?
Both. Because anyone who hates them definitely took this as an opportunity to bash them. But again, you have a bunch of end users who bought like D, which is one of those very popular but hard to get, expensive and niche games from the 5th gen that not a lot of people had access to. They were excited to get this game. Like, you're a horror freak. You know how the horror people can be for like a chance at a game that they couldn't have before. So, yeah, I mean, you're talking about a lot of hardcore audiences, and then you have the tech guys out there who the retro tech community they are hardcore about what is right and wrong. So they fucked with like 3 different hardcore communities, basically all at once on this one.
So, Jim, what you're saying in a nutshell is just emulate.
Well, that's the answer for everything, really.
Don't buy from Limited Run and just emulate.
I mean, that's the real answer. Don't buy from Limited Run, and if you want the game bad enough, save up. Don't buy 5 Limited Run games and buy that one expensive actual game.
Or
just
what's option C there?
Well, we already said emulate.
There you go.
It can't be both A and C, Brian.
What if it's one of those selections that can be A and C?
Not an
You tell
SAT.
me. You tell me.
I'm not trying to get into high school here. I don't need your bullshit.
Do you remember your SAT scores?
I think I had a 1280 total, if I remember correctly.
I couldn't even begin to tell you those. What?
Maybe an
what
11
is the
something.
What's the highest you can get on SAT?
When we took it, it was a 1600, but they completely changed the numbering and the formatting of it now, so I couldn't tell you.
1600. Yeah, because I remember being in the 700s was always the goal, at least. Yeah, man. That just took me back to fucking Scantrons. I wonder if they still do Scantrons.
I don't know. I wonder. Yeah, they just all do it
With
on
all
tablets
this-
now.
Yeah, well, with this stupid ass grading, Grant, my son's only in first grade, but the way grading and all bullshit works these days, I'm like, what the fuck? They don't even teach math right anymore.
Oh, he's got the Common Core going on?
You'll be experiencing it next year, Jim. Just wait. Just you wait.
Oh, I'm sure. Can't wait for that.
But yeah, Jim. So help me God. If you know what? I'm going to reinstitute the ball tap. If you ever buy any more limited run shit, there is no excuse. I don't care what they offer you.
Right, I don't buy discs from them. I bought like 1 disc game ever from them. So I'm in the clear here.
Don't buy anything from them.
Right,
Jim.
the Switch carts.
Nothing.
The Switch carts are so good though, Brian. I love my Switch carts.
It just takes you a year to get them, and then by that point you don't even care, and you probably downloaded them digitally 3 times over.
That's only happened about 70% of the 70% of the time.
Yeah, you son of a bitch.
But it looks so
Stop.
good on the wall. Look at that
Just wait till
beautiful
you-
wall, Brian. Look at that beautiful wall of limited run back there. Look at my
Jim,
look at my
just-
kingdom. Look at what I've
Just wait till,
created.
wait till you have to move again. I like and I do like the couch behind you, Jim.
Oh, thank you. That's the new gaming chair / fab station. Thank you very much.
God damn, that means when I come over, I'm gonna have to put down plastic.
I should just put down plastic anyway, just for the feng shui of it all.
Just actually, you know what? That would be very, very appropriate for you. Yeah, get the old school plastic for it, Jim.
Make our videos all crinkly like.
Well, it was great to be back, Chambers. Thank you once again for holding it down. Thank you once again for Joe for hopping on with us. Jim, how'd your brew treat you? You said it was margarita flavored, but it sounded to me like it was just key lime flavored.
It was basically more of a key lime sour. Yeah, I mean, they could just be like, "Hey, margarita-ish," and I was like, "Yeah, I can see the margarita in it," but like it had that tinge of like limey margarita mix in there. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's a sour. It's a limey sour,
Yeah.
but it was good. Yeah, it's a blonde ale fermented with special hybrid of sour yeast and the perfect level of acidic tartness, and then dosed with natural margarita flavor.
Is there one you think you'd go back to?
Natural margarita flavor? As if it grows on trees?
Natural. I'm trying to think how you would. I mean, you'd have to use tequila and real limes. Then it could be natural, I guess. Maybe
Some corporate fuckery going on here.
there is.
But it was good. It's a good sour.
Yeah. I moved away from my oatmeal stout, which was delicious, to the Omegang's All Hallows Dark. So this was obviously from Halloween time. This one is their black lager and 5% alcohol. So really good. I'm shocked it stayed as good as it did over the time. But a lot of dark beers, I'll say, for tonight. And Yeah, I got a little bit of that kind of acrid feeling on my tongue right now.
That'll do. That'll happen.
So with that, everyone, we want to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for watching. Please make sure, if you haven't already subscribed, hit the button below, hit the notification bell for each and every time we upload new content. And if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, hit the subscribe button and give us a 5-star rating. And even if you want to bash us in the comments, we'll read it on each and every one of these Power Hour podcasts. With that, we want to say have a good night, everyone, and cheers.
Cheers, everybody.